So what should we expect for the year 2023? Well, according to the chairman of the largest asset manager company on the planet, we're about to see the rise of a whole new world order, one that has globalist elites absolutely panicked. We're going to take a look at exactly what kind of new political order is rising and why the days of left-wing liberals are indeed coming to a decisive end. You are not going to want to miss this. Tom Donilon is the chairman of BlackRock, which manages almost $10 trillion in investments. They're one of the most powerful organizations within the globalist system, which is a vast interlocking mechanism of technology and telecommunications that in effect creates a single worldwide political and economic system. BlackRock has pushed vaccine passports. They pushed digital wallets that track and allocate carbon allowances. They've pushed central bank digital currencies. They are as globalist as globalism gets. And yet, several months back, BlackRock CEO Larry Fink turned a number of heads when he declared that the rise of the new Russia, one that had proven itself largely immune to Western sanctions, together with China and India, were representing together nothing less than the end of liberal globalization as we've known it over the last several decades. Well, now, just a couple of weeks back, BlackRock released their 2023 Global Outlook report. And in the report, the chairman, Tom Donilon, has announced to his investors that we are indeed entering into what he calls a new world order. Not the Orwellian kind. Actually, it's Aldous Huxley, Brave New World. It's a new world order that represents nothing less than the death of globalism itself. Here's what the report says, quote, "We've entered into a new world order. This is, in our view, the most fraught global environment since World War II, a full break from the post-Cold War era. We see geopolitical cooperation and globalization evolving into a fragmented world with competing blocs. A prime example is the response to Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Western sanctions have triggered a pursuit of economic self-sufficiency." He goes on to say, "Geopolitical fragmentation is likely to foster a permanent risk premium across asset classes rather than having only a fleeting effect on markets as in the past. This is the most fraught geopolitical environment since World War II, in our view. The world is splitting up into competing blocs that pursue self-reliance." In other words, get ready for a far more nationalist, populist, traditionalist world order that's smashing to bits the current globalist world order. Now, this is huge. And it's huge because the financial media tends to err on the side of honesty. Yeah, if you want fake news, go to journalists, right? They'll give you the woke neo-Marxist talking points all day long, these news journalists. But you see, companies that manage billions, if not trillions of dollars of assets can't do that. They have to report to their investors the truth in order to protect and grow their investments. And so the financial media is far more in touch with reality than what passes for reporters and journalists today in the news media. And so they're seeing what we've been, of course, arguing for over the last 6 years, ever since this channel started. The financial media is seeing the world moving away from globalism and is, in effect, tribalizing. It's re-embracing culture, custom, tradition, religion, land, region, race, and becoming far more nationalist, far more populist. And here's the key, regardless of what's happening here in D.C. or in the bullies in Brussels or Davos. What we're finding are there are forces that are far stronger, far more determinative than anything the demons in Davos or the dolts in D.C. could come up with. And I'm going to show you exactly what those forces are. But first, click on that link below and head on over to my special website for the Ready Project Food Supply. We know we can never wait for an emergency to happen and then regret that we didn't prepare. And no one makes preparing for an emergency more ridiculously easy and affordable than our good friends over at the Ready Project Food Supply. Their food kits last up to 25 years in storage. They include breakfast, lunches, and dinners. Every meal's at least 2,000 calories. And if you act right now, you're going to get 25% off a full 4-week emergency food supply when you click on that link below to my special website. So whatever you do, don't wait. Click on that link and start building your emergency food supply today. The biggest problem facing globalists today is a massive worldwide dynamic known as re-territorialization. Because globalization is a transnational system, it by its nature disembeds and dislocates political power away from localized control, away from communities and districts and counties and even countries, and recalibrates that political power into the hands of a very few. A centralized political and economic elite, like the bullies in Brussels, right, with the European Union. And so the massive backlash that we're seeing throughout the world against globalization involves nothing less than the reversal of that, where populations are re-territorializing their political power, taking their political power back, as it were, from the hands of a centralized political elite. And so in many respects, this re-territorialization is the key to understanding the new post-globalist world that's emerging all around us. But the key to understanding that, to what's happening in our world today, the key is that not everyone is re-territorializing in the same way. In an increasingly post-globalist world, re-territorialization is being worked out in basically three ways: through what we might call neo-nationalist projects, through neo-tribalist projects, and through neo-civilizationalist projects. Neo-nationalism involves a renewed sense of national sovereignty, a restoration of the nation state against anti-nationalist forces of liberal globalism. This is what's animating the MAGA movement here in the United States, or what animated Brexit, or the incredibly successful government of Viktor Orban in Hungary. But this renewed civic nationalism, it's not the only kind of nationalism that's emerging in our world. There's also what scholars call a new tribalism, or secessionist tendencies, where populations want to break away from the nation state and form their own independent republics organized around a common region, race, or religion. So that's exactly what we saw in the Donbass region in eastern Ukraine and the breakaway republics of Donetsk and Lugansk. And then on top of all that, that nationalism and that tribalism, we're seeing the rise of what scholars are calling civilization states. And these are states that are redrawing their boundaries around ancient civilizational spheres, like the Slavic Orthodox world of Imperial Russia, or the Sinosphere of ancient China, or the rise of Hindu nationalist India. That's also being compared to a civilization state as well under Prime Minister Modi. And so as the executives and researchers over at BlackRock have rightly concluded, these are three different ways of re-territorializing and redrawing the global map and remaking the political world order into a far more nationalist, populist, and traditionalist sense. And this is why, in the midst of all this absurd insanity going on in our nation today with bumbling Biden and neocon rhinos, this is why I always remain so optimistic. The world is moving in our direction. And while our own political circumstances so often look dire, there really is nothing the dolts in D.C. or the bullies in Brussels can do to stop a new nationalist, populist, civilizationalist world order rising. And so that means it's just a matter of time before their time comes to a decisive end. As always, make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button, and you'll definitely want to check out my latest video on Katie Hobbs panicking over the latest bombshells to come out of the election trial. You're going to absolutely love it, so make sure to click on that link, and I'll see you over there. God bless.